What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Kharis Kurian, and today I'm here with Mayor Harold Weinbrecht.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he's the mayor of Cary, North Carolina, and this is our first in-person interview. I have so this interview, I have the honor of him being my first in-person guest. We are here in the Cary Town Hall. So yeah,
Thank you for having me.
welcome.
Yeah.
Let's get started. So for people hearing your story for the first time, who is Harold Weinbrecht? Want to know about your background, your growing up, your career, and I guess anything that people may not know about you.
Okay. So I'm 70 years old, so I'll try to condense this.
Okay.
So I was born in Augusta, Georgia. Moved to Cary when I was about a year and a half old.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in 1956.
Ooh.
So I was here in 1958. Cary was a very different place. Grew up with a single alcoholic mother and a brother, which was not tough if you don't know what life should be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I dealt with it, and that was fine. That was my childhood. When I was in the fourth grade, we moved to Raleigh, and I lived in Raleigh 3 years, and then I had to go live with my grandparents who lived in rural northeast Georgia, and I lived there with them for 2 years, and then moved back with my mother in the junior high and high school years. Basically, I was on my own by the time I was 15, got a full-time job, and raised enough money for me to go to college, and I went to college at Leeds McRae, North Carolina, my first year. Came back to Augusta to go to Augusta College, which now is part of the University of Georgia system. Got a degree in mathematics, taught school and was working in graduate school, and decided to move back to this area. Went to NC State, lived in Raleigh, got a degree in computer science, graduated in 84, met my wife in 85, we got married in 87, we moved back to Cary, and I've been in Cary since 87. Worked several jobs in the software arena until 92, I think it was. Went to work for SAS and worked there 29 years before retiring. After that, did a consulting gig, which I still have going, and we'll see how that goes in the future. Got involved in politics in 1997. There was this guy running for office and basically asked people through postcards, because you didn't have much of an internet back then. Are you tired with rapid growth, crowded schools, long lines at traffic lights, those kinds of things, lack of parks? Sure. Well, then you might want to be interested in my campaign, come to my house at such and such time. And I got involved with that guy. He was elected mayor. He talked me in. Well, first I got put on the first Information Services Advisory Board, since I had a blog before blogs were popular, and nobody went to council meetings, so I told the public what was going on. Got picked up by the local newspaper, and so they had me splash all over the front page with the people that helped my blog. And so I got notoriety that way. So I served on the first Information Services Advisory Board as the chair, then went to the Planning and Zoning Board, and then I was talked into running for office in 99, and being a big introvert, that was tough for me to do, because I didn't like being in front of people. Was elected. That mayor went out in 2003, and I went out with him, which was fine with me, because like I said, I'm an introvert. I didn't want to be in front of people anyway. But I didn't like the way things were going at Town Hall. In the 4 years I was out, and so I was trying to recruit people to run, and I had someone that said, well, you're probably more qualified than anybody because you already served. And so I said, I'll tell you what, I'll ask my wife, because she said, I'll never run again after I lost in 2003. So I asked her, and she said, yeah, this is something you got to do. And I got outspent 8-1 and won by a landslide. Because people cared about the things I cared about. And I've been serving as mayor since 2007.
Nice. So crazy, 2007. I was born in late 2008, so mayor all my life. So I think one thing that that caught my attention when you said like you were talking about how Cary was like much different from it is now, and like Cary is like so developed as a town. So like, how was Cary? What was Cary like before like when you were growing up and compared to like right now?
So when I was a child, some milestones I remember is to buy a pair of shoes, you had to go to Raleigh. And when the first 7-Eleven came to town, that was a big deal. Cary was basically 1 to 2 races. You have Caucasian literally on one side of the railroad tracks and African American on the other side of the railroad tracks. And African Americans usually did service jobs.
Yeah.
The only time I ever saw an African American was my aunt's house. My uncle was a former mayor, Fred Bond, and they had a maid, and that's the only time I saw a person of color.
Oh.
And I only remember one religion, so it was Christian, and either you were Methodist or you were Baptist, and I'm a Presbyterian, so I remember that. Other than that, Cary was very typical Southern town. And to have watched that change and see how this area has embraced diversity has been pretty amazing, because right now we're just over 50% Caucasian. And I think we're like 20-something% Asian. And then I think African Americans like 8%. But what's really cool is 26% of our residents were born in another country.
Oh, wow.
And I love it. I have a neighbor that's Indian American, and they brought food over today.
Oh, nice.
And he's not as great at yard work, and so I help him with all kinds of stuff, and that's what I get in reward. He brings me food. But their family is fantastic, and we have a great time together.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what Cary's done. Everybody's embraced the differences, and we celebrate them. There's an event in the fall for Indian Americans called Diwali.
Yeah.
And throughout the day, Coca Booth will see about 15,000 people. So they had a celebrity dance, which they wanted to do years ago. So I was the first one to do it. And I had a dance partner who taught me like forever before I could do it. Anyway, this past year we had a team of about 17 staff members and elected officials, including the mayor of Marshville. And the mayor of Marshville and I, you'll have to go back and watch this dance.
Yeah.
Went viral in India. We had 190 million views.
Wow.
So we love doing that kind of stuff, and I love the diversity in Cary. I think it's so cool.
Yeah.
Compared to where I grew up, and it's just a different place now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, actually, my ancestry is very unique too. I am first generation on my dad's side. I'm actually part Indian. I'm also part African American. So it's really cool. We have ties to Cary as well. So it's actually really really cool to see us. That we're part of that, and it's really really cool. And then to see how diversity has been going, especially since the 80s, 90s. I think it's really really cool. And to see how the city was kind of like a small town, but it's really grown over the past 50 years. Yeah. So I think that's really cool. I want to also we might get back to more of that later, but I do want to get to your time at SAS. So how long did you spend working at SAS?
I think I worked there 29 years.
Yeah. So you mentioned there's a little bit about how you were transitioning from technology to public service. So what inspired you to do that?
To get involved in public service?
Yeah, politics.
Usually in local government, it's an issue or a set of issues. And the issue, Cary in the late 90s was growing so fast that, and I don't know how much of this you want to know, they needed water. And to get water, because they take it out of one basin and put it in another, it's called an interbasin transfer.
Yeah.
And it's a 6-year process. They didn't start it soon enough, so they had to stop all the water, no more water, so it stopped growth. And that just looked like incompetence to me.
Yeah.
And you're not planning for the growth that you're allowing, and because you had to stop water, And that was, just a sign of all the things that I felt was going wrong at the time. But anyway, that's why I got, and I talked about a little bit about the postcard from the guy that ran for mayor, talking about how growth was occurring and the traffic signals. And I understood traffic signal queuing. In previous year, before I went to SAS, the previous years, I worked as a simulations engineer. So I did simulations of all kinds of things. So I could tell you all about queuing and why things queued up the way they did. And so I knew that they were not doing things appropriately. And so anyway, that's why I got involved. My first speech in front of the council, I remember I was shaking because I don't like speaking in front of people, especially back then. I'm fine with it now. But I told them, I said, you have a community full of engineers and professionals, and you're not even broadcasting meetings. People don't know what's going on here. And if you don't have the knowledge base at town hall, the citizens will do it for you. I'll do it for you. I'll do a website. I'll do all this.
Yeah.
And so that was the Information Services Advisory Board that I talked about. So they agreed to that. Some of the council members saw it as political and voted against it, but it was 4-3 that I got put on.
Yeah. Definitely stands out. It's like, you like took action. Like, hey, if y'all are not gonna do this, I'll do it. Which is kind of really I guess amazing that you're willing to get out there and take action. Yeah.
There was a 2-month delay of information getting to the public, and people complained about it after the fact. And I'm like, somebody needs to do this live. I don't know why the newspaper isn't doing this. And once I started blogging all the meetings, then the newspaper started showing up. And I'm like, okay, whatever. But the news was getting out. And like I said, that's how I got notoriety back then. There was a quote which my family still laughs at today, talking about my blog. In that news article said that I leapt to fame. And so they mock me to this very day about leaping to fame. So.
Yeah. I mean, it only takes one moment in your Bible. Yeah. So, kind of going off of where your engineering background, you talked about how you were a software engineer and then you said something about taking action and then not in public service. So I think I thought about engineering at one point, but I don't know if it's the direction I want to go. But I'm more going into the business and government side. But I do know that engineering, it's about solving problems, and so is leadership. So I guess looking back, how has your engineering background influence the way you approach leadership and decision making?
Well, I'm very data driven, which is what engineers are. In the simulations world that I used to do, you try to think of every possible scenario of every event. You play things out in your mind over and over and over, and then you write code to simulate all of that using random number generators and all this stuff, which is too much. But anyway, thinking through process. I even told the council at our annual retreat, I said, when you bring up an idea and it sounds like I'm shooting it down, that's not what's happening, because I think, what is all the possibilities, what could go wrong, and that's how I'm thinking. I'm not really thinking, you're bad, you're dumb, that's a bad idea. I'm just thinking of all the other possibilities. And that's the way I think about everything as far as things with the town. Rather than emotion, a lot of people make decisions on emotion. I'm more about data and how it will play out. What are the long-term impacts rather than the short-term gains? How's this going to play out? That's the biggest connection I see to my background. Is because it has trained me to think in that way, especially getting math degrees. Things are built on facts. And you prove to get to this point. And so I'm always like that. So always data driven.
I think that's really good because it's not good to be like always so emotional because like emotional, if you rely too much on emotion, you like ignore logic. And I think it's really good to like have that. You gotta have a balance of like logic and emotion, but like obviously you gotta put logic first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, going off of that, I think this kind of segues perfectly in the next question. Throughout your career, what has been like one of the biggest challenges you've faced, and what did it teach you about leadership? So like I know like there's probably been like a lot, and like I guess through like I guess the way you approach problems, I guess data driven stuff. I guess just knowing I was want to hear more about a big challenge you face, and like I guess how you use your leadership skills about logic and data stuff to like solve it, and like what did it teach you?
Well, I think the biggest challenge is one, right now there's a lot of partisanship all the way down to the local level. That used not to be the case. And then you have different leadership styles, and then you have different types of council members. When a council member is first elected, they don't have the knowledge base, and so they're very reactive to what they hear and see around them, which is natural. And I call that a delegate.
Yeah.
So if you're reacting to the loudest people screaming, you're a delegate. You're not thinking, what is the long-term impacts?
Yeah.
Goes back to the data.
Yeah.
And once you start thinking like that, that's only half the battle. Now I've got to talk to the citizens and explain it to them in what I call an elevator speech. I've got like 2 or 3 minutes to be concise and explain important details of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And at the same time, get them to understand we have different values. It's not emotional. It's just a different set of values. And I have to constantly say that almost every day. People get emotional and call me names and all this other stuff. And I'm like, it's just about values. My values are, A, B, C. Yours are D, E, F.
Yeah.
That's okay. Let's agree to disagree. But having council members that are delegates and not enough trustees, that's the biggest challenge right now. So 4 years ago, the experience on the council was over 100 years. And now 5 of them have about 8 to 10 years experience total. So they're delegates. And so you're dealing with a bunch of delegates who react to every emotional thing, whether it be in the media, whether it be something they hear, whether somebody complains about something. They think they can solve everybody's problems, and that is not true. You will never solve everybody's problems. Somebody will always be angry with you. You just have to make your decisions based on good, solid data and see the big picture. And that's the biggest challenge, is trying to be patient and trying to explain things to them. And then there are 2 types of leadership. There's the authoritarian. Let's say you have these 5 people over here. Rather than trying to empower them, you're just saying, you're wrong. You need to do what I say. And that really hurts input, because these are smart people. These are not dumb people. My council, they all have master's degrees or more. So they're smart people. You just got to empower them and give them the experience they need, give them everything they need to become a trustee. And then they can make the big long-term decisions that they need to make. That's more empowering type of leader. And I would say in Wake County, most of your mayors are authoritarian rather than empowering. And empowering served me well for a long, long time. And now it's more difficult, especially with inexperienced people. They want somebody to tell them what they should do. And that's not my style. So I have to know, okay, here's what I think you can do to do what you're trying to do. What you did here, I try not to embarrass them, never embarrass anybody in public. I go, when you did that, you actually violated this. You probably want to be careful doing that. Just let them know, gain the experience so they do the right things. But those are the biggest challenges right now: inexperience and the style of the council members, and knowing that I like to be an empowering type of leader. And that's a challenge for me, because I need to be more authoritarian at times.
I think it's definitely very. I guess I can see how hard it is. I lead stuff in my school. So if it's like knowing how to be out there authoritarian, I guess empowering, that could be kind of hard, because like sometimes stuff has to get done.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta be like sometimes you gotta have the iron fist out sometimes. But I guess I guess sometimes, but like people doesn't know like being micromanaged. So like it's really important. So like I think be empowered and good sometimes. And I do like what you said about you can't make everybody happy. Someone's gonna be mad at you. I think that's probably a good lesson for everybody, especially young people watching this. You're not gonna make everybody happy. So like you can't really you shouldn't really be getting upset.
Yeah, and if you're in an elected office, there will be people that are angry with you and say things that are hurtful.
Yeah.
They are saying those things to your office, even though they use your name, and that you have to remember. Because in the early days, I would lose sleep over name calling and everything else.
Yeah.
And you have to let it go. It's all about the office.
For sure.
And you have to train yourself. At 7:30 at night after I've eaten dinner, I'm turning off the phone. And so if it's a emergency call, the staff will know how to contact me, but other than that, I'm not answering anybody. And I usually don't answer unless your name shows up and I know who you are. I'm not answering. So because the media will always try to trick you into doing interviews and stuff.
Oh yeah.
They're all about clickbait right now. So
yeah. So yeah, no, that's really interesting. Yeah, talking about that. So I guess going off of we've talked about it a lot.
mm-hmm.
I think it's really interesting that turning your phone up at 7:30. Not answering any calls. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I think it's kind of like an opposite. Of like people my generation just always on.
Yeah, my daughter sleeps with her phone. Yeah, I don't know how you do that. I have to shut it off. What puts me to dreamland is having a problem in my head and trying to solve it. And even when I was going to college, I would solve problems in my sleep. And that is so relaxing to me. I remember one time in college, it was a theory course in programming that said, write a program to accomplish this in the fewest number of statements. The person who gets the fewest number of statements gets an A. Everybody else gets B's or below.
Oh.
So I had mine down to 7 statements, and somebody had 5. And I went to sleep and played it over and over and over in my head and sat up in bed at 3 a.m. Got it. 3 statements. I win. And that's happened so many times in my life. Solve problems in my sleep. And a lot of that is you block out every interference around you and you're just focused. And it puts me to sleep. Every night I try to figure out, and I try not to think about town stuff. I'll think about maybe building something and just focus on that, and I'll go right out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no. I like what you said about the whole coding thing. Like, I don't really know how to code, but like I kind of like have the brain for it. Like I can understand it. Yeah, I think it's all about efficiency. Trying to how to like the least amount of code. And like I also like how you talked about how like always trying to thinking about the problem. Like that's honestly I can relate to that. Like I'm always overthinking things. In deep thought for hours. I totally understand that.
Yeah, and I have the logic or data center brain. I'm always thinking logical. What's the logical next step? And anyway, that's just the way my brain is wired. So.
Yeah. So, I guess going off of I always talk about like leadership, logic style, how you think, kind of Cary overall. I kind of want to shift to more about like I guess focus more on Cary.
Okay.
So, Cary has consistently been ranked as one of the best places to live in America, and I've lived in Cary for a little bit. I moved I moved to somewhere near Cary. I don't live there anymore. So I guess from your perspective, what has made Cary so successful?
I think it's number one, the planning over the years, great leaders. So the residents care about their leaders.
Yeah.
They elected good leaders, and those good leaders made good plans and followed through with them. And so when you become mayor after so many years, it's just don't screw it up. Keep trying to make it better.
Don't want to make it worse.
Yeah. So you got to give the residents credit for electing good people. I've seen in my consulting business in the past, some municipalities where you just shake your head. I don't know how they get anything done. They're screaming and yelling at each other, and they're all emotional, and nothing is fact-based, and it's just, oh my goodness, what a mess. And we've been fortunate in Cary to not have a lot of leaders with emotion and a lot of logical, educated, smart people making decisions over the years, and that's really paid off. And so that and then you add to that where we are, and then the focus on the environment, the parks, sustainability. All these things are what citizens want, and so the leaders have listened over the decades to what the citizens want, and they followed through with them. And that's what makes a town successful, I think. If you listen to your citizens, and they're educated people. By the way, 80% of Cary citizens have some kind of college degree. 35% have an advanced degree, which is more than than a bachelor's degree. So there's a lot of educated people living in Cary. So when you have that citizen base, if you don't listen to them, you're making a mistake because they're smart people.
Yeah, that's right. Is that like compared to like other cities? Like, how much like is Cary like really up there? Like is it how does Cary compare to like, other people in terms of like how educated people are?
I think we were ranked as one of the most educated communities in the nation. There were 40 national awards we received last year, and one of them was that. We're always ranked as one of the safest communities, one of the most educated communities and workforce, and so on and so on. And last year, in my State of Cary address, I published all of the awards. So far this year, we've heard 3 best of, best place to live, or one of the best places to live, from 3 different national awards this year. So we're still moving in the right direction. Still people want to move here. Businesses want to move here. And that's a great place to be.
Yeah. So we've talked about this a lot, about Cary, about you talked about a lot of businesses want to move here. We're like y'all the most educated town. So yeah, Cary has definitely experienced growth over the last 2 decades. So how do you balance welcoming in new residents, while preserving the identity and character of the town? And we've talked about this, lots of people, lots of Indians immigrating here, a lot of people moving, a lot of businesses starting here. So how do you balance identity? How do you balance welcoming the new residents and then also preserve identity and character of the town?
So I think you got to focus on your core values, which is public safety, roads, other infrastructure, parks. These are things that are quality of life issues for people. So we can go through them right now. Our budget, which was passed last week, had a huge investment in public safety, hiring dozens of police and fire, and designing 2 new fire stations, because that's our highest priority. And with that came a tax increase. Also, parks, we have over 30 parks. We have 700 miles of greenways and sidewalks. Those are all quality of life issues for people, and they want to be safe. They want to know that when they flush their toilet, that's not an issue. When they want to drink something or take a shower or a bath, that's not an issue. Raleigh and surrounding communities are struggling right now with water. We have 120-day supply right now, and we have room for expansion. We're nowhere near our peak capacity. And that goes back, remember the interbasin transfer we talked about a long time ago. that goes back to that because we knew that 6-year process and we started it in advance and we got our allocation and we expanded our plant and now we're ready to go and there's no issues. I think taking care of the infrastructure makes it better for people and the quality of life. Another example are roads. So the main collectors are state roads, and if you drive through Cary, you'll see potholes and cracks. That's state of North Carolina. There's a scale from 0 to 100. They're around 50 something or lower. Cary's are upper 70s, close to 80. So if you drive in neighborhoods, you don't see the potholes and the cracks and everything. Those are Cary roads. That's the difference, and that's a quality of life thing. You don't want to live in a cul-de-sac with a big hole in it and grass growing out of it. You would like to see that nice smooth pavement.
Oh yeah.
And so that's all these little things make up quality of life in Cary, and I think that's what you got to focus on as you grow. Now this is my 19th year as mayor, and also you have to make sure that as you grow, the infrastructure's there, so that will force, because the market drives the population, the population to grow at a slower rate. So since I've been mayor, the highest rate we've grown is 2 to 3%. However, there's a flip side to that. Now we've basically run out of land and we're growing at less than 1%. Well, 60% of our revenue is from property tax, so the property tax is not growing. And that's an issue we're facing right now. That's a challenge because our expenses are still going up and our revenues are not. And so, do you want to remain one of the best places in the nation? This is a values decision that I talked about earlier. If you do, we have to pay more because our property taxes are not going to go up because we're not growing anymore, but our expenses certainly are. Everything we do costs more.
Yeah.
So these are the types of challenges when you think about growth. You have to think about the revenue side, the expense side, and you have to focus on the infrastructure.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think for quality of life is definitely very important. You definitely want to have good roads, no potholes, good infrastructure. Yeah, I think that's really really good. I can definitely relate to that. And I know in small towns it's an issue with potholes, and I think it's impressive that that Cary's like different. Yeah. So, I guess kind of going off of that infrastructure thing, the quality of life, being, I guess, above average in Cary compared to other places. When you walk through downtown Cary Park or like another product you're like especially proud of, what goes through your mind knowing I guess you helped shape it?
All the work that went into it, the story behind the downtown Cary Park. Oh my goodness, that was 20 years in the making. So there were houses on that block. And at the time, we spent $12 million for 13 acres.
Oh, wow.
And people screamed bloody murder. And then we built the park that cost $65 million. And the operations on it is $6 million a year. Now, right now, that's pretty scary. But what is interesting is when we started that process, nobody wanted to be in downtown. Everybody was leaving. There were no businesses. It was a mess. And now the condos across the street from the park go for $1.8 million. If you live inside the Maynard Loop and you haven't rebuilt or built a new house, your land is worth more than your house.
Oh, wow.
And so the value alone within a half a mile of the downtown park has increased by $200 to $300 million. The economic benefit from that park is around $15 million a year. So that investment long ago was a smart one. And if you did not have the backbone as an elected official, you would have never done it because the pushback was pretty large. I remember visiting a mayor early, being a mayor myself, and it was Greenville, South Carolina. And if you've been there, they took a highway and made it a pedestrian street, and they built this park and amphitheater underneath it. And I'm like, that costs a fortune. How did you do that? And he said, you have to have a backbone. And that's true. If you're going to do anything big, you got to have a backbone and be willing to take the heat if you think it's the right thing to do. It can't be a pet project. It's got to be something for everybody. And I really believe downtown Cary Park is for everybody, and it's really paid dividends in so many different ways. And that's just one puzzle piece of what I see going on in the future in this area. So a lot of things are going to happen, and that's the first big piece.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen Cary Park. It's really impressive how built up it is. I was actually there a couple weeks ago when they were playing Back to the Future. Yeah, yeah. I left before the movie started, but it was really it was really cool to see how developed the park was, and really was good. Yeah. So I guess going with that, once you think to the future, so 10, 20 years, so 2036, 2046. It's looking ahead. Cary's been on top. It's been growing a lot. So looking ahead, let's say by 20, let's round up. By 2050, what do you hope Cary looks like by then?
Well, I hope. Well, Cary already is changed from growing this way to growing that way, redevelopment, and I hope they do it smartly. I hope sustainability is still a high priority.
Yeah.
That we value our environment and value the people, and we value small town feel.
Yeah.
We've always tried to incorporate that. It's really hard. People don't believe that, especially long timers. They are very critical to me until I tell them, well, I moved here in 1958 and I see value in it.
Yeah.
Again, it's values discussions.
Oh, for sure.
And they don't have a lot to say because they moved here after I did. Because I'm 70 years old. I've been here a long time.
Yeah.
And I've seen what it used to be, and I think this is much better than what I grew up in this area. Getting back to, just one culture, one thing.
Yeah.
Nothing here. You had to go to Raleigh to buy a pair of shoes, and now everything. We're one of the most recognized and awarded places in the nation, if not the world, because of what we've done. And I hope that is continued in the future.
For sure.
I hope future elected officials value that and think like I do. Don't mess that up. Keep building on it. Keep making it better. Don't make decisions with emotion. Make decisions on values.
Yes.
And make Cary continue to be one of the best places. So that's where I hope we are in 2050.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously, one big, this is a perfect segue into our next section about technology, AI in the future. In 2050, AI is going to be a technology. It's going to be really, really big. It's going to be a big part of it. And I know, knowing my dad worked at SAS, UX, and then you worked at SAS for 28 years. Technology, data is going to be pretty important. Technology is going to be important. And technology in the past 50 years, it's changed almost every part of our lives. So I guess, how do you think it should change local government?
Yeah, I think it will make us more efficient. I think it'll make us more transparent.
For sure.
I think it'll help do things more quickly and help us react to situations faster. Right now, I'm thinking about ways that I use it when I respond to somebody or when I'm talking about somebody. Getting back to how I think, I want to make sure I've covered everything.
Yeah.
So I'll ask the ChatGPT, how would you deal with this? And I go, oh, I didn't think about that. So that's how I use it. How it will be used in the future will be very interesting. I know we use technology in our parks. Oh, the trash can needs empty.
Yeah.
Oh, we're doing this much light. Oh, there's so many people that come to this area. Maybe we need to help balance that out.
Yeah.
And all kinds of things like that. That's in downtown Cary Park today. You have the technology and the parking decks that tell you, you've seen them at the airport.
Yeah.
That, hey, there are 2 spaces open on this level.
Yeah.
We have it wired for that, and we had planned for that. We don't have the money for that, but hopefully that will also come. But there's so much technology that can be used. We are also working on, we've got a study going on by staff how we should use AI. Because how should staff use AI? So we'll come out probably with a set of recommendations on how we should use that. But it will definitely be a part of our future. It already is. And so we should embrace it and figure out how to make it work for us, not against us.
Yeah, for sure. technology and AI is pretty big. It's definitely everybody concerned about it. Educators are concerned about it. I think it's going to be very, very important for AI and technology to be like developed. It's gonna people need to know what should be used for it, what should not be. I think definitely people and leaders they should be, I guess, be doing that and be setting the tone for how we're going to use it, how we're not going to use it.
Yeah, just in my career in software, when I first started in software, we used deck cards and used batch running programs in batch. I don't know if you know about that. Anyway, I remember the first cell phone. It was military. And it was called a mobile subscriber unit. Was the switch, and you called, and the military had that before anybody else did. And then I remember the discussion about the internet. I'm like, well, why would you want to just have a place where everybody just puts stuff? That's not interesting.
Yeah, nah.
And then all the conversation about phones and watches. We have a phone that will do all this in the future. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Phones are just for making calls. And watch, you just want to see what time it is. All of that has changed in my lifetime, and it changed rapidly. Within 10 years, it changed. I went from the first cell phone being that big to flip phones that were that big, and then the smartphones we have now, and I rely on them every day. I even rely on my watch to see how many steps I have, and it's making a reminder that I need to take more steps right now. And my calories I burn, and my heart rate, and I've learned so much about myself just from my watch. If I'm sitting here talking to you and I start getting sleepy, I can look and I can see my heart rate has plummeted, and it was like, okay, time to move. Wake up. Stuff like that. So technology is fantastic.
Oh, for sure.
It's used well, and I think that is the future. Everybody needs to learn how to use technology to their advantage.
Yeah, I agree, and definitely AI specifically, because it's not going away.
No.
Yeah. So AI is becoming one of the biggest technological shifts of our time. I remember I was in 8th grade when I was with ChatGPT. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is so cool. Obviously throughout the years I've learned how to use it for my good, and how to use it where I'm still thinking and not letting AI do it for me. That's a big problem with my fellow people, fellow students, and there's people who are going through high school and college right now. Using AI to do assignments. I think it's really
it'll hurt you.
It'll hurt
not
you
helping
for sure.
you.
Not helping you.
Yeah.
So where do you see AI helping cities, and where should governments be cautious? It's kind of like that lesson about not letting AI do your work. Kind of found that balance between the line between this was clearly AI or you and I actually heard what a professor at UNC said one time. You and AI is better than just you or just you alone and just AI alone.
Yeah.
So I guess where do you see AI helping cities, and where should governments be cautious?
Yeah, I think everything we do can get an advantage from more technology and data. I can tell you that, give you an example of the police department using what they have today.
Yeah.
So, and it's sort of AI related, but sort of not. So there's a call. There's a crime going on.
Yeah.
4 or 5 officers show up. They can radio in, but now we have the technology. They can tune all their cameras at one time. And they hear them talk, and they see what they're seeing, all of them, in a command center. And then they could say, so-and-so, watch out on your left. There's so-and-so. Now everybody knows where that is.
Yeah.
Like that. We had a child that had an issue and got on a bike and went from home. And all the cameras in the area went to the control center, and they located him within seconds, and he only got 1.5 miles from the house before a police officer found him. That could have been tragic.
Yeah.
Another one is there's an incident going on in this house where there's a fire and there's somebody in there with a gun. And rather than sending officers in there, they could send drones in there. And then they videotape it, or stream it and have officers react based on, Yeah, this is technology that we're using today, and I can't even imagine how we're going to use that technology in the future for public safety. Also know we're using it for public works. How can we be more efficient in collection of waste or recyclables? And that's another thing. I could go on forever. Recyclables, if you've ever been to a recycling center, it's manual. So they dump all this stuff and then they put it on the conveyor belt, and they probably have 20 guys in this thing tossing things left and right in their bins that they're looking for in this stream, and then they bundle it up and all this stuff. That should be data driven and technology driven, because you have the technology today that can recognize each one of those pieces of material and suck it out. You don't need people doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the future. And when you have that, then you could do more recycling, because right now it's so manually intensive. There's so many areas where technology and AI can help in the future, as far as local government. And local government's all about, water, wastewater, fire, police, roads, all these things. Can monitor your roads and tell you, hey, you have a pothole missing here. Or you can have, we have this today. We have a fiber optic traffic signal system. There's a wall in town hall with all the cameras, and you can pull it up online. Like when it snows, I pull it up to see, how is the town doing? Are we clearing our roads? Is everybody going to be up? And usually the answer is yes. Cary can clear the roads in half a day. This is what's here today. What is it going to be like 20 years from now? So we'll be doing so much more with technology in the future.
For sure.
And we'll be much more efficient. And I think Cary is already ahead of most municipalities in what we do today. So we can start building on that in the future.
Yeah, for sure. I think one thing I think that came up to me is I guess the idea of like AI stealing, like data, and like you talked about I guess kind of like how with like people AI using I guess with like technology to like I guess recognize the materials for like the waste centers. I think I just kind of go on the other side of it. Some people that I talk to are concerned about data privacy, like I guess stuff being leaked. In fact, one time my friend group, one of them lives in France, and we all took a photo together, but like he wasn't in there. It's like I put him in. And like one of my other friends was like, hey, don't put my face in there. I don't want AI to like be trained on that. So like would you say that data privacy from like AI is like a big concern? And like I guess how should like governments be like cautious?
And that's what we're studying. So we're restricted one way because everything we do is a public record. And so if anybody wants anything and there's anything material, it's a public record. If anything said to me, all your emails sent to me, that's public record. At the same time, you got to have privacy. So how do you do that? How do they change state laws to allow us to do that? But I could tell you right now, the police department and everything we do with personal data, they don't keep the data because they're not allowed to. I mentioned the fire thing going on. One thing they also have is somebody's called in, there's a fire at such and such. And so they dispatch the fire department and they say, we're going to send you a link if you approve to use your phone to show us what's there, because they might think it's a small fire, and so they send a small fire engine when actually they need a ladder truck. So by using their cell phone, they can turn it around and we can see in the command center what we need there. At the same time, we don't want to keep their number. So we make sure that number is tossed, and we don't have that number. However, we can use the data and the technology at the time. So it's those types of balances that we'll have to figure out in the future. And these are the studies that are ongoing nationwide with localities and municipalities, how to do that.
I think it's really, really important. Data privacy is very important, to keep stuff private. And I think it's really good, especially for Cary. Cary is one of the I guess very, very big technological, and your background with SaaS or from what I know about SaaS and data. I think it's really good that you're leading that. So I guess kind of like shift. Oh, we're about to say something.
Oh no,
Oh,
I was agreeing with you. Kind of a grunt.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess try to like shift something, shift to like more I guess civic engagement. I want to kind of shift to that, and like I think one thing some of what we talked about is like teens and like Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and and the coming Gen Beta. They're gonna be online. They're gonna really be online. Gen Beta is gonna be the first generation to be born in AI world. They're not gonna have a life before AI. Gen Alpha is not gonna have a life before technology. So like, technology is gonna be a big thing for like youth. And
I can tell you, I have a granddaughter who just turned 1, and 2-3 months ago she had my phone and immediately was swiping. And I'm like 6 or 7 months, she already knows how to use phone. However, if I put a dial phone in front of them, they wouldn't have a clue what to do with that. Like, what is that?
Yeah, that's crazy.
But the technology, like you said, they don't know anything but that, and that's what they've seen all their lives. That is literally all their lives.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny, even though I'm technically late Gen Z, I actually was like that. Like in 2009, when I was like 1 year old, I knew how to like turn off and turn my parents' phone on and off.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, it's crazy, going on with technology. Yeah. So, one of CiviCraft's goals is like helping young people understand how their communities work. So I guess one question, I guess to start off, why do you think local government matters even more than many people realize? Because the media always talks about the national, maybe if they're watching like a statewide state, but like nobody really knows what's happening in their local community. And I'm trying to myself try to figure out more what's happening in my local community, like Cary, Apex. I'm trying to really figure that out. So like, why do you think local government matters and more than many people realize?
Because we touch everything you touch every day. Roads, schools, parks, water, sewer, police, fire. I mean, those are the services that are core, that are right next to the people, and they should be very focused on that. If you act like you don't care about fire and police, the time you need them, they won't be there. Or when you need water, you don't have water. Those types of things. So we are the closest to the people. What's disappointing in North Carolina is municipalities have a Dillon's rule, which means all our authority comes from the legislature, and they're trying to take authority away from us. And so we're the closest to the people, and we're like, we know what's best for our municipality more than you do, because we're closest to the people. Same thing with the federal level. We know what's best.
Yeah.
Just allow us to do our job. Don't try to restrict us.
Yeah.
The reason the legislature does that is because you have bad players. Well, go fix that problem. Don't punish everybody.
Yeah.
So anyway, that I think is a challenge.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, I think it's really interesting. I didn't know that some majority comes from like local government.
There are two types. There's the council manager form of government, also in that, but in a Dillon's rule state, those authority comes from the legislature.
Yeah.
So think of it this way: we can't do anything unless they say we can do it. In a home rule state like Texas or New York, it's the other way around. You can do anything you want unless the legislature says you can't.
Yeah.
And so that's why you have municipalities. I get people all the time, so-and-so does this, why can't you do that? Well, they're a home rule state, and we're a Dillon state. We don't have that authority. I get that all the time. Why can't, what was the one I got yesterday? Why can't you prohibit this type of thing? Because we don't have the authority. You have to go to the legislature to get that authority. Whereas if we were in Texas and there was nothing in the books that said we couldn't do it, we could do it until the legislature creates a law that says we can't.
Yeah.
But that's, a lot of people don't understand that. And then they also don't understand the council manager form of government, which is what we have. The mayor and the council act like a board of directors for a corporation. So it's intentionally a wall to keep us from interacting with staff frequently, because that's how corruption occurs.
Yeah.
If I'm going around getting a staff member, hey, will you do this for me? Will you do this for me?
Yeah.
And so you want to hire a professional. and then you interact through the staff, to staff through the professional. That's the way organizations work. They have a CEO that handles the corporation. So we're set up like that. Most mid-sized cities in the United States and almost all municipalities in North Carolina set up like that. And then the other ones are your big cities have a strong mayor form of government, like New York or Los Angeles, and he is just like a president on a small scale. I'll do this, this, and this. The problem with that is they may or may not have municipal experience and know what they're doing. So you could create chaos. You might have your staff marching in this direction toward this vision, this goal. Now you have a new elected official and he's marching in this direction, and they might be going back and forth, and it's very inefficient. And the corruption comes into play. So, you'll hear about that, and that's something that when you hear about corruption of an elected official, that's the first thing you should ask. What type of government was that? How did they get away with that? Anyway.
I definitely didn't know about that, and I guess have you tried petition to I don't know, or petition to I guess the state government to change that that way of how
no way will they change that. They're trying to take authority away, not give us authority, so they will never change that. We would have to have a swap of type leadership in the state for that to be considered. I don't even know if, so they're mostly Republican now, I don't even know if mostly Democrat would consider that either. I think they like the council manager form of government, and actually, honestly, I do too when it works correctly. When you have bad players, bad things happen. And so that's what we see in council manager form of government.
So that distinction was interesting. I didn't know that. So I guess kind of going off of that, talking about, I guess we talked a little bit about national and all that. So I talked about this a little bit, but many young people, they follow national politics, but they really don't know a lot about what's happening in their own towns. Why do you think that is?
I can tell you that, thinking about my life, trying to get a high school education, I was working full time. Then I went to college. I worked my way through college. Then I have a job. I'm trying really hard. I don't have time to think about all this other stuff. And I think that's where the majority of Americans are today. They're busy with their own lives. They don't have time to get involved. So the ones that are involved, some of the ones that are involved are extremists, and they have extreme views, and we're seeing this polarization.
Oh, for sure.
With extremists, when the people that are really busy kind of fall in the middle, and then when it's time for them to pay attention, they go, what's going on here? I don't know if I'm over here or I'm over here. There's a lot of craziness going on. I'm not really sure. I see us nationally that way right now. You have extremists on both sides, and a lot of people in the middle that are not really sure what should be going on. And so they're depending on whatever media outlet they use, whether it's something like Neighbor Up or whatever, providing them information, or they're looking at a media outlet or something else. Who knows where they're getting Facebook? I don't know where they're getting their information. Some of the stuff I get sometimes, you're like, where did you get this? This is so wrong on so many levels. It's just false. Everything about it is false. And they're totally bought in by that point. And I have dozens of people just attacking me, and I'm like, it's just not true. But that is where I think we are as a country. A lot of people are informed and really don't know where to look for facts and how to get the facts, and don't have time to digest the facts.
For sure.
I got to figure out a way to solve that.
I think a big part of it is people don't really know what to care about, and also people don't care because it doesn't matter to them. It doesn't matter to them. And I think kind of give them some slack. It is low key kind of hard to understand stuff that's doesn't concern you. Because I think that's just how humans are naturally are like that. So I definitely see how hard it is for people to be concerned about stuff that's going around. So I guess now I want to ask you if a high school student like me, or any high school student wanted to make a difference in their community today, where would you encourage them to begin?
start watching meetings. If you want to figure out what's going on in the local government, start watching meetings and look at the agenda and read the documents. That's time consuming, but if you really want to find out what's going on, that's how you do it. Everything we do as a council is streamed.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse to not watch it if you don't want. If you want to watch it, if it's streamed, it's recorded, so you don't have to watch it live. You can go back and watch it. So if you really want to learn a lot, that's the way to do it. Another way an easier way is to sign up for our news blast. We blast out things that are going on or things that happen. I'll issue statements. Staff members will issue statements. That'll at least keep you informed about the big issues that are going on around town. We even send a thing in the utility bill that explains all the things. We have a website that has a wealth of information. I don't know if anybody even goes to websites anymore, but it's there and it has everything in it. But getting involved, I know that we have a teen council of like 1,000 teens, and they volunteer in certain events. That's one way to get involved, is volunteer, and you learn about those events by volunteering.
Yeah, for sure.
We also have some teens that are included in some of the boards and commissions that we have. They participate in that, which is very valuable to hear a teen perspective on issues. Human relations, inclusiveness and diversity task, well, it's not a task force, board or commission, I don't know which it is, has a teen in it. And so when they talk about things, what do you see? And he can tell them, she can tell them from their point of view what they see as a teen. And that's very valuable.
Yeah. So, and actually this is exactly what I was going to ask. My next question being, have young people influenced the way Cary makes decisions, and if so, how? And you talked about, like, having a teen, in these boards and all that. So like, how have young people influenced the way Cary makes decisions?
And they come speak at council meetings. We had 3 teens last meeting speaking to council. Anybody can speak at Public Speaks Out and talk about anything you want.
Okay.
And so that's if you have an issue and you want to tell the council about it, tell them. You can. You don't have to come to a meeting, but that's one way to do it in person. And so we've seen that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you may or may not see me in a few weeks.
Okay.
A few months. Well, you'll see.
Yeah. We have meetings twice a month, except for in certain months we have one meeting. So I think our next meeting's in a couple of weeks.
All right. So. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's amazing. How like you're including people. I think one way to get people engaged, and I think is to like have not talk to them. So because I'm a senior, and I'm about to be taking a government class, and that's not. I think we want to engage people civically, young people. I don't think a government class is the way to do it. I think like what you're doing is allowing people to to like champion like their interests to like the city is what is needed.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just so you know, I have a policy since 2007. If you send me an email, I will respond, no matter how difficult that is.
Oh.
So when you get these campaigns against you with hundreds of emails, then unfortunately that's a cut and paste response, because theirs are a cut and paste, request or whatever. But I do respond and have responded to every email I've received since 2007.
Wow.
However, if it's a broadcast to council and you're just griping, I'm not going to respond to that. But I'll read it. But if you ask me a question, I'll respond. I'm trying to think of the ones I had today. I'm an 83-year-old woman, and there was an agreement that they would pick up my garbage behind my house, and it didn't get picked up. And first I said, well, I'm copying the Public Works Director. Somebody will be out there today, because that's how good they are.
Yeah. And
if you ever have a problem, you can call or email 311 about anything, and they'll find the right person, and they'll come fix it. And that's one of the advantages Cary has over other municipalities. We have a staff that does that, just fields calls and requests and acts on them, sends them to the right person so that they can get things done. And it usually happens very rapidly. So this one lady emailed me right before lunch, and by 1 o'clock, a staff member had gone out there and personally talked to her, emptied her trash, and then they sent an email follow-up, and they, all this stuff happened just in a matter of 2 or 3 hours. And that's the service level we have in Cary. A lot of municipalities probably just ignore, but it's important that we have that level of service.
Yeah. Oh, just a stats question. How many people live in Cary?
192,000.
Yeah, I think it's very impressive how as you're be as a town, y'all are out there for so many people.
Yeah, so the town is a charter name. We're actually between the 145th, 150th largest municipality in the nation.
Yeah.
And so keeping a town was an intentional thing when we did our last branding about 5 years ago. And that is important. So we're actually the second largest town in the nation, behind Gilbert, Arizona, and they have the same idea. We want small town values, and we're going to keep town. And so they're about 250,000 people, so we're nowhere near them. But we're the second largest town in the nation.
Yeah.
And if we were actually in South Carolina, we would be the largest municipality in the state. That's how big Cary is. 60 square miles. Paris, France is only like 40.
Oh, wow.
As far as square miles.
I know that.
Yeah, so there's a lot as far as size that says we're not a town, but we are.
Yeah. Has anyone tried to make Cary like a city?
Well, that was what we talked about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Should we be a city or a town? We asked consultants that were going to brand us. Should we be a city or a town? And all of them came back and said a town, which was interesting.
Yeah.
Based on the values we have, which is high quality of life, small town values, those type of things, we should be a town.
Yeah. 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 I think the idea of being a town versus a city, I think a town feels more I guess opportunity for people to be involved. Whereas the city kind of feels more bureaucratic and I guess more people are there's people higher up that are making decisions.
The drawback of that. So I used to give the state of the town address every year. 5 years ago, it became the state of Cary address, because when you go to the West Coast and you're trying to recruit a business to come here, we're from the town. Oh, no. We're not going to a town. We're going to a city. No, you don't understand. We can't even get in the door.
Yeah.
And so we want to promote ourselves. And the example was, people don't say the city of Scottsdale.
Yeah.
They say Scottsdale, and people know where that is.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to say just Cary, and
Yeah.
people would know where that is. And it's been pretty successful, and we've still had a lot of success recruiting a lot of businesses and a lot of events because we are a town. However, we operate like a city.
Yeah.
And we call ourselves Cary, not the town of Cary.
Yeah. So, I think going off of what we talked about for the past 30-ish minutes, I guess throughout your career, I think one thing you've always kept coming back to is values. So funny enough, it's actually what's my next question. So throughout your career in technology and public service, I want to hear more about the values that have guided the way that you lead.
I think it's about, number one, public safety for me.
Yeah.
To me, I have heard stories. I actually heard one from a mayor, a former mayor, that said, he sent me this email last week that said, when I went to bed, I was feeling a little uncomfortable, blah, blah, blah. I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning, I can't breathe. I call 911, or my wife calls 911, and the EMS from the fire department are there in 4.5 minutes. They said if it had taken much longer, the outcome might have been different. Let's just leave it at that. So that was a life or death response.
Yeah.
And there are lots of those. So to me, public safety is number one. Our goal is to have a response time of 5 minutes or less. That is not where we are anymore. We've let public safety fall behind, and we're at, like in Western Cary, 12 minutes. And that could be life-threatening to me. So when I talk about the highest priority for me is public safety. And then it's all about quality of life for the citizens. Don't mess up what we have. So those are my biggest values. And then everything else you want to talk about, I'm listening, I'm working with you, probably agree with you. Affordable housing, sustainability, all these things are important. But those are my highest priorities that I will not compromise on. And I'll flat out tell you, if you don't think public safety is the highest priority, I'm not your guy. You know, you can vote somebody else in because I'm not the right one, because I'm all about public safety, and that's going to be my highest priority always. So
that's amazing.
When you talk about values, and a lot of people, especially during the budget season with a tax rate increase, their top value was tax rate. You know, fine. You know, and you don't have to call me names and everything. You just have a different value set than I do. My values are public safety, and we have to increase taxes to do public safety. Remember, our revenues are flat, our expenses are high, we have all these needs, and you can't ignore those needs if you're going to have public safety be your highest priority. So those are the kinds of discussions I have, and as a trustee, you have to be able to explain it that way, minus the emotion. If you get a nastygram, here's my policy. If you get a nastygram and it really pushes your buttons, let it mellow, come back the next day, you know, and try to do professional. If you can't, let it mellow some more until you can be professional, because you have to remember, these are your bosses. They're at the top of the org chart. It's not the mayor, it's the people. And you have to treat them as your bosses, and you try to be respectful. And if they can't be respectful, then I've had many times where I go, I am sorry that our conversation or discussion has degraded into name calling or whatever it is. So this will be my last correspondence with you. Please remember that 311 is available for any one of your concerns. And again, act professional. And a lot of times I don't feel professional. But you have to do that. That's important for the job that I'm in, is you have to treat everybody with respect, even though they treat you with no respect. But it's the job.
For sure. Like I think it's kind of hard to, like, you know, kind of like a fight or flight response. You know what I mean? Like, and I really like how you're talking about, you know, public servers being first, like nothing else below that. And I think that's unfortunately that's a pretty big compromise you have to, like, deal with. You know, when they're getting high up. You know, when they're pursuing fame and success. You know, the question is, are you gonna, you know, keep your values, or are you gonna morally compromise? So, like, I think that's really, really something to, like, you know, be aware of, and to, like, really, I guess, check yourself.
And remember, we're talking about delegates and trustees. These delegates are getting screamed at. You cannot raise my taxes. I can't afford to live in my house. You're going to make me leave my house. That's not true. That's just not true. You know, I mean, I can help you with your finances, figure out how to stay in your house, because, you know, that's just very, very rare if that happens. And I can go into a long discussion about that too. But they have to understand that as elected officials. You have to weigh what you hear with reality and the facts. And what are your values? Gets back to that. Is it tax rate and listening to all the people screaming, or is it doing the right thing? And that's the hard part about being an elected official.
For sure. And going off of that, you know, going off more of the value thing, I'm just curious, you know, what your response to the question would be. So, like, what do you say? Does the you know, pursuit of, like, fame and success require moral compromise? So, like, fame and success being, like, you know, in elected office, you know, doing you know, like to make, like, basically, does being, you know, successful and famous require you to sell your soul and to, like, you know, ignore, like, what you initially stand for, I guess, from what you, like, experienced?
So if that's your value, I would say yes. It has never been mine. So in 19 years, I've done everything I can to stay out of the media, stay off of TV, and you have delegates, that's what they love. I want to be on every Facebook picture. I want to be on TV. I want to do interviews. And you got to say, they're looking for clickbait. You got to understand that that's not necessarily good for the town. Why are you here? It's for the town and the citizens.
Yeah.
You got to understand what you're doing. And if you're all about you, okay. But that's not why they elected you, to be all about you.
Exactly.
And so you see that in a lot of municipalities, people all over the media, all over the news, all the time. And that's not doing service to their residents. So I try to do just the opposite. I'm going to be in front of the media when I feel it's important. When we had COVID, I gave them the hard news. You know, we're going to shut down these things. And they didn't want to hear that. I got called everything in the book. But it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you it's the right thing to do. And then we lifted it. And here's why. And then I got yelled at by everybody for that. And then we had to go back. And I got yelled at again. And it just went on and on and on. But those are times when you see the public on the media. You address the public on the media.
Yeah.
Most of the times I prefer to address people in person.
Yeah.
I've done my State of Cary address probably 15 times this year, since February, March, January. I just did one last week. That way you can give them the latest and greatest about what's going on. I'm talking to you one-on-one, you know.
Yeah.
And you tell me what you don't like or what are your concerns. I've done, there's a thing called Muffins with the Mayor. There's like 25 seniors. We sit around the table. And we talked about stuff, and then finally I said, come on, guys, this isn't what you're interested in. Tell me what you're interested in. What about this, this, and this? And then they started going.
I love that.
But we have to have those kinds of impersonal discussions rather than the email where I can call you nasty names and do all that stuff.
For sure.
But I think that's important rather than be in the media, because they're just looking for a story that dramatizes everything.
Yeah.
Every little thing we do, they want to try to make us look bad, especially if you're Cary, because Cary has been such the shining gold star for so many years. Look what they did, you know, and so we've had a lot of that in 7 or 8 months.
Nice. Yeah.
So try to tell people we address that. These are changes we're making, but we're moving forward.
Oh, yeah.
Cary is moving forward. We're not stopping and wallowing in the media mud. We're moving forward.
Yeah.
And I think that's important for people to hear.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so talking about COVID. COVID was a rough time for everybody. And I bet you talk about the lockdown. You know, people didn't agree with that when you open things up. People didn't agree with that. So like I guess from what I've seen, from what you've been saying, though, leadership often requires making decisions that not everybody's going to agree with, and you can't make everybody happy. You're going to have people that are not happy. So like how do you approach those difficult moments when you want to do something, but like other people don't want to. Other people may disagree, but or just when you struggle with doing what you know is right, but like not people don't agree with that.
Yeah, so for me, it's easier than a lot of people because I try to take emotion out of it and use logic, being data-driven.
Yeah.
And so that's how I approach things. And then I always have the thing, like if staff tells me something that's not good news, I said, you have to explain it to me in a way that I can explain it to the public in 3 or 4 minutes. Otherwise, I can't support it. If I can't explain to my constituents why we're doing what we're doing, then I can't do it. And so they know that. And so I have to be able to answer for any decision I make. And so when I approach things, data-driven, and be able to answer any questions that need to be answered in a short, concise way. I can't go into this long explanation of why this happened because people don't want to hear that, or they won't even listen.
Yeah.
And I've tried that. And people don't listen. You have to say, this is what's going on. This is why I made this decision. I understand you're disappointed with my decision, and I did it because these are my values. I understand your values are different, and we need to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
And that's how you condense it into a smaller thing. And if they want to have a long explanation, I'll be glad to give them that. Because I got a lot of data. I live off data.
Oh,
so,
yeah. But so sometimes you got to cut straight to the point.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, well, we've had an amazing conversation. I've
Yeah.
learned a lot. I've learned a lot. But yeah, so like as for closing it out, every podcast I have, I always close out with a question about the next generation, a question or two. So trying to close out, I want to know: do you think young people are aware enough of what's happening in our communities, Cary, our state, our country, and the world? Do they understand the laws and decisions that affect their daily lives? Why or why not?
Yeah, I don't think so, but I also don't think their parents do either. So everybody needs to learn more about
Yeah.
their local government, state government, and federal government, and base their thoughts and opinions on facts rather than what they read in social media. And I think if we did that and got back to respecting people, I think that would be a move forward.
For sure.
I can tell you my generation was looked on as, oh no, the world's going to be destroyed because they're, just out of control. If you remember the 60s and all the stuff that went on in the 60s, yeah, that's the generation I was.
Oh, yeah.
So I have a lot of hope in the future. I just hope that everybody learns to work together. I think that's a key point.
Yeah.
Right now, there's so much visceral hate. If you disagree with me, then you're the enemy. I had a council member that went off in the last election that was a Republican. I'm a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
He's more conservative. I'm probably leaning more liberal. And we disagreed on just about everything. However, the key was he was a very honest person. And I feel that I am too. And so we had this understanding, if we disagreed, I challenged him, change my mind. And so he'd say what he have to say. I'm like, nope, you didn't change it. Try again. And we would do that with each other. And we had a great relationship. He's still a great friend. And we don't have a lot in common when it comes to politics. But we know that we feel that we're honest people and we can be honest with each other. I think that's where the future is. If people can just learn to disagree.
Yeah.
We have different values. Let's just agree that our values are different. We were brought up different in different environments, and so we think about things differently, and that's okay. And I think that the younger generation will get there. I don't know how, with all the media and all the distractions that they have to deal with, but I think they'll get there.
Yeah. So would you say this problem of civic, I guess maybe political apathy, is it a problem unique to Gen Z and Gen Alpha, or is it a problem, or has it always been a problem?
Yeah, I think it's always been a problem. I think people now are quick to judge. They hear something, see something, they don't even know if it's a fact, and they just run with it. And I'm speaking mostly of adults rather than teens. I think teens are more skeptical. And want to go, wait a minute, whereas some of the adults don't even do that. They're just like, oh, it's this. And I'm like, well, not necessarily. Asked about the other. There's always two sides to everything. Let's find out what the other side is. When I hear things, what did I hear today? I can't remember what I heard. The first thing I did was, what are the pros and cons of blah, blah, blah? And just to see what AI comes up with. And I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that con. I didn't think about that con because it sounded like it should be all pro.
Yeah.
But like my brain is trained, I want to know all the possibilities. And so you have to take those into account.
Yeah.
And anyway, I think the younger generation will get there if they have all the information, they learn to work together and use that information positively. I think good things will happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I guess for my final question, and I think it's really good. I think young people are gonna get there if they do that. If they learn. I think AI and social media are gonna be good. I think if young people, if this generation was to be more active, it's gonna be through technology and social media, and I think it'll be a big part. So I guess my final closing question would be, how would you as mayor of Cary, you've done all these, you're data driven, you have all these initiatives for teens to be involved. How would you encourage young people to get involved in civic engagement? How can they improve their communities, and what do you think is needed for them to be motivated?
So I would ask them to look at themselves individually. What are your passions? Follow that passion. There's got to be something in your local government related to that passion.
Yeah.
And get involved in that, whatever way you can. Whether your passion is maybe skateboarding on sidewalks, I don't know. Whatever is important to you, follow that passion and get involved and see what you can learn. And you'd be surprised what you learn, one, and what you can influence if you learn enough with your thoughts.
Yeah.
And so that's what I would encourage people to do, because you can't just say, hey, learn everything you need to know about local government. Nobody's going to do that. But what is your passion? What do you care about? And then follow that passion and see where it takes you. When you're 70 years old, like I am, I don't look back on things that I tried and failed at. I look back on things that I didn't try.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be in that position when you're 70. Luckily, I was pretty ambitious and I tried everything. I talked about my background growing up.
Yeah.
So I had nothing to lose in a lot of places. So I always took a challenge.
Yeah.
Like, let's do this. And I still approach things today. If something comes up and I'm like, that's really sucks, but let's do this. Be sad for a moment, get over it, move forward, and still do. And so I would ask people to follow their passions and don't turn down a challenge.
Yeah.
Go for it. So.
Yeah. Follow your passions. Don't turn down challenge. I think it's a really good lesson for generation to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Mayor, for your
Absolutely.
time. I really appreciated this. I learned a lot from you.
Yeah.
I really loved the conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't get my wife to talk to me this long. So
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, guys, for watching. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to subscribe and to follow our podcast, our socials, our media, and I will see you in the next episode. All right, we're done.
Yay. Awesome.
Thank you so much, Mr. Weinberg. I really appreciate it.